ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाखया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपा कदा मह्यं सदा ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरोः श्रीयुक्तापदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगण रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपदान् सहगण ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च। हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगतपते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभैव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे। So welcome to corporate Bhagavad Gita reading every week on Friday 1 to 2 p.m. We have continued reading for more than a year, and we are presently in the 7th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. 28 verse we have finished, and we'll move to 29. Just a small recap. In the previous chapter, Krishna tells to Arjuna to become a yogi. He says that is better than empiricist, better than um, a mystic. He's better than um, a karma kandi. Ascetic, empiricist, and fruitive worker. In that he says the yogi who has great faith in him, meaning in Krishna, and always thinks of him, of Krishna within, and renders transcendent loving service to Krishna, is ultimately united with me in yoga and the highest of all. That is my opinion. So the highest yogi is one who thinks of Krishna always, renders transcendental loving service. Meaning this is bhajan, bhajate. Um, it's bhakti. So when one does bhakti, that is devotional service. It is devotion and service both. Then that yogi is highest. So in the 6th chapter, Krishna talked about ascetic. The ascetic marga is um, Ashtanga marga. You must have heard about this name, Ashtanga Yoga. So this Ashtanga Yoga is there. One does this first to control his mind and senses, and then go deep into meditation. To what is the goal of the meditation? The goal of the meditation is to see the super soul within the heart. And Krishna says you become a yogi. In the best yogi is one who renders bhakti to Krishna. Now one may ask, why Krishna? What is so important about Krishna? So in the 7th chapter, Krishna opens up his biodata. He tells who he is. So basically, he says that everything that comes in this world comes from him. I am the original seed of all existence. Everything comes from me. So what he's trying to say is that there is no truth superior to me. That he is the supreme Lord, he is creating everything. And then he talks about his energies. Two kinds of energies he has: material energy and spiritual energy. The material energy is made of three modes: sattva gun, rajogun, tamagun. If you have heard about these terms, sattva, rajas, tama. And these are very difficult to overcome. So one has to surrender to Krishna, Sri Krishna Sharanam, to overcome it. Now there are 4 people who don't surrender and 4 people who surrender. That we discussed 2-3 weeks back. These are 4 people who don't surrender, and these are 4 people who surrender. We have some notes. Hmm. Those who work like animals, they don't surrender. Those who are cultured atheists, they don't surrender. Those who are deluded speculators, they come to their own conclusions, they don't surrender. And then those who are demoniac, demoniac means they have evil mentality, they don't surrender to Krishna. Though, which are the four ones who surrender? People have problems in their life, they are distressed, hmm? Medical problems, finance problems, they come to Krishna. Or they go to devatas. Devatas are working under, are empowered deities, they are working under Krishna only, so they go to him indirectly. The jigyasu, one is inquisitive about knowledge. Then gyani, one who only wants to know about Krishna. So such kind of four kinds of people, they surrender. So this was the theme. In that we went further, where Krishna is talking about the four kinds of people who surrender to him. Now this is the verse we will discuss today and continue. Any questions or comments, you can interrupt me and speak up. I will stop and explain. जरा मरण मोक्षः माम आश्रितः यतन्ति ये ते ब्रह्मा तद विदुः कृष्णम अध्यात्मनम कर्म चाकिलम. Intelligent persons who are endeavoring for liberation from old age and death take refuge in me in devotional service. They are actually Brahman because they entirely know everything about transcendental activities. Now there are few things which are here and it may question us. Liberation, old age and death. Liberation means what? Liberation means to be free. To be free from old age and death. What is this understanding? So, in the second chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Krishna explains that we live for some time and then we die. But he says within the body there is something which never dies, which is called Atma. That is our spiritual essence. That moves from one body to another. That moves from one body to another. It can go to animal body, it can go to human body, it can go to devata body, aquatics, everywhere. So what is this body? This body is a machine. Eyes are like camera, bones are like pneumatic machines, and within that the soul is using this machine and seeing the whole world and operating in it. And there is Paramatma within him who is allowing him, sanctioning him to use this machine. So once this machine becomes old, the driver of the machine goes into next body, right? He changes his car. So if your car or if your vehicle becomes completely totaled, meaning it is now no more usable, then you change that vehicle. Similarly, we change the vehicle when our body becomes too old or it dies. Then the soul moves into another body. It moves into another body, if you see. And that another body, how do we get? According to our karma. Whatever activities we did, we collected some credits. And based on that, we will get new body. So if you see, here there's a very nice example on the left hand side. If we go to buy a car, we may like any brand of the car, Mercedes or Hyundai or BMW or Tata or Maruti. Which one will you buy? Which car will you buy? Yes, which car will you buy? There are so many brands. Any answer? Any answer? Which car will you buy? How much you can afford, that much you will buy. One may like a Mercedes car, but if he doesn't have money, he won't be able to buy it, right? So similarly, whatever pious credits we have acquired in our whole life, that decides what kind of next body we are going to get. Now this cycle of birth and death just keeps going on. One body to another, one body to another, one body to another. It doesn't end. It doesn't end. So, what is the solution for ending it? Hmm? What is the solution for ending it? That is very important. So, this whole thing is called as liberation, or in Sanskrit term, it is called as moksha. So, what is moksha? Moksha is to get out of this cycle of birth and death. So, moksha is to break cycle of birth and death. Now, how to get this moksha? We have to do activities which do not generate karma, or in other words reaction, which do not generate karmic reactions. Why do we get new bodies? Because we do something and then we have to face the result of it. Now we have to do certain activities where there is no result. There is activity but there is no result. It is called akarma. It's called akarma. You do activities which don't result. Just like, there is a raw peanut versus fried peanut. Which one will fructify? The raw peanut will fructify, because if you put it in the ground, water it, it will fructify. But what happens if we put fried peanut in the ground? Will that generate a plant? No, it is already dead. That seed is already dead in it. So a karma is like this. It's like a fried peanut. Doesn't generate any karma, doesn't generate any reaction. Another example is soldier. Soldier kills, right? He kills at the battlefield. But when he comes back to the kingdom, is he put into jail? Saying that, you killed so many people, so now we are going to put you in the jail.
No,
No, right?
no, yeah,
Yeah. So the reason is because he did it on the uh, order of a higher authority. Okay? On the basis of a higher authority, his activity of killing didn't generate any reaction. Now, if he kills his neighbor, the same government or the king will put him into jail. Why? Because it was not done on authority, it was done according to his selfish activity. So, a karma means you do your duty, you do your duty, and you offer the results to the Lord. So, then you don't get any karma. Okay. So, when we do this, karma activities, then uh, we start the spiritual life by which we can break the cycle of birth and death, moksha. Now, after moksha, where do we go? So there is this material world, right? I mean, where we are living. We are living in this material world. Spelling is wrong. Okay. We're living in this material world, which is Earth. Other planets are there. Sun planet, Moon planet, Jupiter planet. All this is all material world only. Similarly, there is a spiritual world, which in technical terms is called Vaikunta. So moksha takes us from material world to Vaikunta, and there is no kunta, there is no difficulty. It's free of misery. That's the meaning of Vaikunta. Now I explained all this because We are talking about liberation. So no one wants old age, no one wants death. We want to liberate ourselves from that. So how to do that? Krishna tells that take those who take refuge in him in devotional service. Refuge means shelter, sharanagati. So when we take sharanagati of Krishna in bhakti, then there is automatic liberation from old age and death. Then they actually become Brahman. Brahman means spiritual. They completely become spiritual. No more body. Hmm? Okay. Any questions or comments? You can interrupt me. Hmm? Birth, death, old age, and disease affect this material body. These are four things we get in this body: birth, old age, diseases, and death. Finally, death. This thing happens with everybody, but not the spiritual body. Spiritual body, such thing doesn't happen. Spiritual body is Satchidananda Vigraha, and that is eternal. There is no death in it. And liberation or moksha means to get that spiritual body. There is no birth, death, old age, and disease for spiritual bodies. So, one who attains a spiritual body becomes one of the associates of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and engages in devotional service is really liberated. Such a person is only liberated. Aham Brahmasmi. Aham Brahmas means I am spirit. Okay, I am not God, but I am just spirit. Spirit means I am spiritual. I am Atma. I am Adhyatmic. It is said that one should understand that he is Brahman, spirit, soul. This Brahman conception of life is also in devotional service, as described in this verse. A pure devotee are transcendently situated on the Brahman platform and they know everything about transcendental activities. Four kinds of impure devotees who engage themselves in transcendental service of the Lord achieve their respective goals. And by the grace of the Supreme Lord, when they are fully Krishna conscious, they actually enjoy spiritual association with the Supreme Lord. But those who are worshippers of demigods never reach the Supreme Lord in his supreme planet. I'll just finish this and then I will explain. There are a few things here I have to show. Even the less intelligent Brahman realized persons cannot reach the supreme planet of Krishna, known as Golok Vrindavan. So in in Vaikuntha there is Golok Vrindavan. There is Golok Vrindavan, there's Ayodhya, there's Dwarka. So these are actually planets in the spiritual world. I'll show you. Only persons who perform activities in Krishna consciousness, Mam Ashritya, actually entitled to be called Brahman because they're actually endeavoring to reach the Krishna planet. Such persons have no misgivings about Krishna and thus they are factually Brahman. Those who are engaged in worshipping the form of Archa of the Lord. Archa means deities, and who are engaged in meditation on the Lord simply by liberation from the material bondage. Also know by the grace of the Lord the purports of Brahman, Adi Bhuta, etc., as explained by the Lord in the next chapter. So there are some things in the next chapter that he will explain, but we will focus on this part. For that, cosmos. So these are pictorial descriptions. Pictorial descriptions of our universe. So in the Vedic scripture, the how the universe is explained. So it looks like this, similar. This is one Brahmanda. Anda means egg. So this is one Brahmanda. Okay, in this half is covered with water, and on that water there is Garbhodaksha Vishnu who is lying here, and from his navel comes a lotus flower on which Brahma is there, and he does tapasya, and then he creates the 14 planetary system, which is Swargalok, Bhulok, and Patalok. So this is how the universe is. It is covered with earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, false ego. Now, when we say liberation, what does it mean? It means to get out of this Brahmanda, to come out of this Brahmanda. Okay. Now, where is now how is the Brahmanda created? There is another Vishnu named as Mahavishnu. You must have heard this word Mahavishnu. So this is Mahavishnu. From his pores, when he exhales, many Brahmanda comes. Okay, when he inhales, everything goes inside. So like this, one universe is there. Many universes come out, and then when he inhales, all of them go inside it. So this is Mahavishnu. Okay, where Mahavishnu lies, everything is the material world. Now, uh, so we talked about one Brahmanda, we talked about Mahavishnu. So Mahavishnu is creating so many Brahmandas, and then this is one Brahmanda. Okay. Beyond Mahavishnu, there is Brahma Jyoti. It's the effulgence of the Lord, spiritual sky. One can merge in it, and he will get a lot of peace here. Beyond it is Kailas, Lord Shiva's abode. Then is Vaikuntha planets. When Narayan is there, Vishnu is there. And beyond Vaikuntha planets, within Vaikuntha planets, there is Ayodhya, Dwarka, and Golok Vrindavan. Okay, so this is how the material world and spiritual world is explained. Where do we get this information? We get it from Brahma Samhita. So Brahmadev, he so Brahmadev has said some prayers in Brahma Samhita, and here is where all the information is given. So based on this whole information, this picture was drawn. What we are seeing here, right? This picture was drawn. So now what does moksha means? Moksha means this is earth. From this earth, the soul will travel through the Brahma Jyoti and reach the Vaikuntha planets. This is real moksha. The moksha in the Brahma Jyoti is also moksha. It is also liberation. Okay. But the soul over there only experiences peace. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. He doesn't experiences happiness. Where do they get that? That is in Vaikuntha planets, where one serves the Lord. So so here this is how it is. Any question on this picture? Any question? Okay. So moksha we understood to go from the Earth planet into the Vaikuntha planets. Sadibhutam Adidaivam Sabhibhuta Adidaivam Mam Sadi Sahadi Yagnam Saye Viduhu Prayana Kale Pitsamam Te Vidur Yukta Chetasaha. Next verse, this is those who in full consciousness of me know me, the Supreme Lord, to be the governing principle of material manifestation of the demigods and all the methods of sacrifice, can understand and know me, the Supreme Personal Godhead, even at the time of death. At the time of death, it is very difficult to remember anything because so much pain is there. But those who are in full consciousness of Krishna, they can remember Krishna. And how they know Krishna? that he is the Supreme Lord. He is the Supreme. Persons acting in Krishna consciousness are never deviated from the path of entirely understanding the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In the transcendental association of Krishna consciousness, one can understand how the Supreme Lord is the governing principle of the material manifestation and even of the demigods. Gradually, by such transcendental association, one becomes convinced of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and at the time of death, such a Krishna conscious person can never forget Krishna. Naturally, he is promoted to the planet of Supreme Lord Golok Vrindavan. So, at the time of death, what we remember, we are sent to that destination. Anta Kaleja Mameva. At the time of death, whatever we remember, we are sent. So, if we remember something else, then we will remain in this material world. But if we remember Krishna, then we will reach Vaikuntha planets. So, if we are Krishna conscious, then we will reach Vaikuntha planets. This seventh chapter particularly explains how one can become a fully Krishna conscious person. The beginning of Krishna conscious person is the association of persons who are Krishna conscious. Such association is spiritual and puts one directly in touch with the Supreme Lord, and by His grace, one can understand Krishna to be the Supreme Personality of Godhead. At the same time, one can really understand the constitutional position of the living entity and how the living entity forgets Krishna and becomes entangled in material activities. By gradual development of Krishna consciousness in good association, the living entity can understand that due to forgetfulness of Krishna, he has become conditioned by the laws of material nature. He can also understand that this human form of life is an opportunity to regain Krishna consciousness and that it should be fully utilized to attain the causeless mercy of the Supreme Lord. There are many things here, but I'll just finish reading this and then we'll discuss few points. Many subjects have been discussed in this chapter: the man in distress, the inquisitive man, the man in want of material necessity, knowledge of Brahman, knowledge of Paramatma, liberation from birth, death, and disease, and worship of the Supreme Lord. However, he who is actually elevated to Krishna consciousness does not care for different processes. He simply directly engages himself in the activities of Krishna consciousness and factually attains his conscious position as eternal servitor of the Lord. In such a situation, he takes pleasure in hearing and glorifying the Supreme Lord in pure devotional service. He is convinced that by doing so, all his objectives will be fulfilled. This determined faith is called Dridhavitaha, and it is the beginning of Bhakti Yoga or transcendental loving service. That is the verdict of all scriptures. This seventh chapter of Bhagavad Gita is the substance of that conviction. Okay, this happens to be the last shloka of the seventh chapter. So when we start our spiritual life, right, we slowly understand how are we entangled in this material world. If we go here, this is how are we entangled in this material world. So in this material world or Brahmanda, if we do some pious activity, we will go to Swargaloka. There's other lokas also. And once the credits are done, we come back to earth. We do some karma. If the karma is bad, we will go to Patal Loka. One of these. And after staying there, again we come back to earth. We do some activities, get karma, and either we are elevated or degraded. So this is what is the cycle of birth and death is going on for millions, trillions lifetimes. Okay. Now, when one starts spiritual life, slowly he understands what is taking him up and down. And then he gets rid of it by the process of spiritual practice. The spiritual practice removes all the obstacles in his path. And then he slowly, gradually overcomes to come back to God. How does happens? First thing is association. Association of people who are already Krishna conscious. In the association of pure devotees, one can easily advance. And we explain this example of Valmiki Rishi who wrote Ramayana. Before becoming Valmiki Rishi, he was a dacoit named Ratnakar, and he used to kill people. But when he met Narad Muni explained to him that if you kill people, you are going to get the karma of it. And what will the karma? Next life you will die. So he said, I will die, they will die, I will die, they will die. This is all we are going to do. How to break up this cycle of birth and death? Then Narad Muni said, you should start spiritual life. And to start the spiritual life, you have to chant the name of Ram. And Valmiki Rishi, that time Ratnagar, he had killed so many people that he couldn't say Ram. He started with Mara. And Narad Muni said, okay, start with Mara, you will end up with Ram. And then by chanting the holy name, everything, his all bad things got cleared in his heart. And then from a dacoit, from a gunda, he became a sadhu. All that happened because he associated with Narad Muni, who was Krishna consciousness, who was fully Krishna conscious. So, in the good association, we can develop spiritual life very easily. Okay, and in association, right, we don't have to worry about all these things. It is always taken care. We simply become the servant of the Lord, eternal servitor of the Lord, and we serve to the best of our capability. And we do devotional service. There are 9 kinds of devotional service. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu. That is the main, minimum, and fundamental one. You're hearing about Krishna, you're glorifying Him, and you're remembering Him. When such three things are happening, right, then the future is with Krishna. Okay. So let's open up for some questions or comments before we move to the next chapter. Any questions, any comments, any doubt you may have? Are you able to hear me?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, if you have any question, you can just ask before we move to the eighth chapter.
Uh,
Okay,
need to understand more on this topic.
okay. Yeah, I mean,
Uh,
this topic, na, Krishna will again talk in eighth chapter also.
okay.
So, in eighth chapter, as you have asked, na, I will show you. So like I explained that when the universe began, Brahma was born in the lotus flower, which came out from the navel of the Supreme Lord, Garbhodaksha Vishnu. Okay, so he has life of 100 years, just like we have life of 100 years. He also has life of 100 years. So these are his 100 years. Now the thing is, his 100 years is not equal to our 100 years. So there is a time relativity. In his day, um, when he gets up, he creates the universe, and at the night, there is full devastation. So this partial creation, partial devastation. In between comes 14 manvantars, and manvantars means 14 manus are there who will rule over the humans. Okay, in which one manvantar starts for 71 divya yugas. 71 divya yuga is the 4 yugas that we keep hearing: Satyug, Tratayug, Dwapar Kalyug. Like this, 71 times happens, then one Manu changes to another, to another, to another, to another. Like this 14 Manus. That is just happens in a day of Brahma. Okay. So this is the lifespan of Brahma. And if we calculate in terms of Earth years, it comes out to be 311.04 trillion years. That is 36,000 kalpas. So that's how Brahma is living. Such a long life he has. But again, it is limited only. It's not unlimited. In one sense, it is unlimited, but ultimately it's ending one day. So this concept Krishna is going to talk in this eighth chapter also, but I just talked about it. Sahastra Yugatam, yeah, Sahastra Yug, something he says.
So,
Yeah.
so we know that we are in Kali Yuga now,
Ha, ha, ha.
and
That is 3
s-
4 lakhs
yeah.
32 years, out of which only 5,000 years have happened.
So that is part of which one mantra? Like, is
Yeah.
it possible to know
Yes,
that?
yes, yeah, yeah. It is Vaivasata mantra. It's not the Swayambhu mantra. It is Vaivas.
Okay,
Let's check it out. In the fourth chapter, Krishna he says, "I gave this to Manu." Yeah. Um, somehow this information is not exactly given. It may be given in other shastras, but it is Vaivasata Manu. I forgot. It may be seventh or eighth Manu that we are in.
okay,
Yeah,
okay.
it is seventh or eighth. It's actually in the middle only. So Swayambhu Manu came in the early morning. Swayambhu Manu. So when we read this Manu Samhita, right? We have You have heard about Manu Samhita, Manu Samriti. So it was written almost many millions of years ago. Manu Samhita. So first is Swayambhu Manu, and then another Manus come. Ours is Vaivasattva Manu.
Okay.
Hmm. It's This information is there in Bhagavatam. Just let me quickly go there. Uh, in Srimad Bhagavatam, it is said. Um, Let me get it. That's it. Eight. Eighth canto, 24th. Eighth canto. Eighth canto, 24th verse. Matsadev. Here is some information is there. Long time back I had read. There was a king named Satyavrata. Hmm? So he worshipped the Matsya avatar. The small fish which became big. And then that fish, Matsya avatar, saved him from the devastation. Okay, yeah. So there was a Chakshusha Manu. Okay, in his Manvantara, the king named Satyavrata was there, and then he became the next Manu. This king Satyavrata became the next Manu. Um, ha. So this is the presently, King Satyavat took his next verse as Vaivasvata Manu. So we are in this Manu. Presently that is going on, na?
Okay.
Yeah. So previously, when the where it is, yeah, there is devastation happening at every end of this partial devastation happening. Okay, at every Manvantara when the Manus change, na. So before
Yeah.
that, he was a king named Satyavat. He worshipped Matsyadev, and next life he became Manu, and we are in that yoga. Vaivasvatta Manu. There are many Manus. 14 Manus happen in a day of Brahma. Okay. 14 Manus happen in a day of Brahma. The first one in this particular day of Brahma was called Swayambhu Manu. And there are other Manus also. Like before this, before our present Manu was Chakshusha Manu. Now, this is all
Uh,
technical details. Okay.
Actually, like
Point.
it
Sorry.
says there is one level above it, right? Actually, like so there is it's called kalpa.
Kalpa is the day of
So,
Brahma.
oh,
So
okay.
Brahma
In
gets up in
one
the
day.
morning,
Okay. Uh-huh.
works till night.
Okay.
Okay. He creates this 14 planet system. And then there are Manus who change.
Yeah.
And Devatas, they come at the start, they end at the end. So when there is devastation, partial devastation of this whole universe, not universe, this 14 planet system, then Devatas also go. They come the next day. Then so 12 hours of Brahma and 12 hours of sleeping night. So for the 12 hours of morning, or say the 12 hours of day, Brahma creates 14 manus happen at the end. Partial devastation happen. Manus also go, Devatas also go, everybody goes. So this 14 planet system is there. Now everything is destroyed at the night of Brahma. So this happens every day. Every day he gets up, he does tapasya, creates this whole 14 planet system, the Devatas, everybody, and the whole day 14 planetary manus are ruling. At the end, night happens. Again, this whole thing is destroyed. And when Brahmas like this, 100 years happen. 100 years happen. That is how many days? 365 0 0.
Yeah.
36,560 days of Brahma. When that happens, then Brahma also dies. So Brahma is also not eternal. He also dies. But this is information which, uh, takes some time to sink in. But yeah, this is how it is. In the 8th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is going to say, see, so many days of Brahmas have happened. We are just taking birth and death and moving from one manu to another, like that. And then, even after 100 years of Brahma, everything ends. We go back into Mahavishnu, then we come out of it again when he exhales. Again, this whole thing happens. So, we have to break this cycle of birth and death. That is more important point. Okay. That's why we need spiritual life. And Bhagavad Gita teaches about the spiritual life. Okay. So, we can start with the 8th chapter. Any more questions or comments?
Yeah. We can proceed, Guruji.
Okay. Arjuna Vacha. Kim tad brahma kim adhyatmam kim karma purushottama adibhutam sa kim proktam adidaivam kim uchyate. Now, if you see this verse, um, is very similar to the last verse that Krishna spoke. The last verse of the 7th chapter. And that becomes the question. So when he hears about this, you see, same words are them. Sa adi bhutam, sa adi daivam, sa adi yagyam, prayena kale chama. So 8th chapter starts with like that. Adi bhutam, adi daivam, kim uchyate. Who are all these? Tell me more about this. Arjuna inquired. Oh my Lord, the Supreme Person. What is Brahman? Brahman, what is Brahman? What is the self? What are fruitive activities? What is this material manifestation? And what are the demigods, the devatas? Who are they? Please explain this to me. So, very natural question comes when Krishna says, I am Adi Devam, Adi Bhutam, Adi Yagyam. So Krishna says, first explain all these terms to me. What does it mean? So, in this chapter, Lord Krishna answers different questions from Arjuna, beginning with what is Brahman. The Lord also explains karma, fruitive activities, devotion service, and yoga principles, and devotion service in its pure form. The Srimad Bhagavatam explains that the supreme absolute truth is known as Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan. In addition, the living entity, the individual soul, is also called Brahman. Okay. Arjuna also inquires about Atma, which refers to body, soul, mind. According to Vedic dictionary, Atma refers to mind, soul, body, and senses also. Arjuna has addressed the Supreme Lord as Purushottama, the Supreme Person, which means that he is putting these questions not simply to a friend but to the Supreme Person, knowing him to be supreme authority, able to give definite answers. So few things are there. This chapter is little technical. All these words, right? These are Sanskrit words and what they actually mean. So Brahman, uh, actually Brahman means two types. One is the individual soul, individual Atma, and even the super soul, Paramatma. Both are called Brahman. And interestingly, Atma can refer to the soul, the Atma in the body. Also, it can refer to the body, and also it can refer to the mind. And sometimes Atma is used for senses also. Okay. Uh, so Brahman, we talked. Two types of Brahman are there: the spirit soul, individual spirit soul, and the super soul. Both. What is self? Spirit soul. What are fruitive activities? Karma kanda. Karma kanda means you do some activity, you'll get out of it. Like, some people do some puja and all that, then they desire, after doing this puja, I'll get this much, I'll get that, I'll get a child, I'll get a good wife or a good husband and a good family, like that. So all these are fruitive activities. What is this material manifestation? This material manifestation is, what is this material manifestation? What is all this 14 brand system and all that? Hmm? What is all this 14 planet system? So Krishna is asking, Arjuna is asking all that questions. What are the demigods, the devatas? We'll talk a little bit of devatas. So you see, there are 14 planet system right here. So it is as Brahmanda. Brahmanda is anda. Anda is egg. So does the egg has light in it? No, right? There is full darkness. So now, how to put light in this universe? Can you give me example how to put light in this universe? If you have a dark room, what will you do? You will turn on the light. Now, what is the light in the universe? Any guess? This is Brahmanda. What is the light in the universe? What rises in the morning? What rises in the morning?
Yeah, yeah, sun.
Sun, right? The sun is the torch in the universe. So it moves around like this, and then it gives light to all the planets. In the night, the moon is there. The moon also moves. Now there is ocean in this world, and every planet needs water. How will they get water? Sun will evaporate, it will become cloud, and then there will be water. There will be rain, right? So who is doing all this distribution of water? Indra, irrigation department. Now in this world, lot of difficulties are there. So one devata is given to remove all the difficulty. What is his name? Ganesha. That's why we call him Vignaharta. Vignaharta means all the difficulties he removes. Then there is need of fire in this world. So there is Agni Devata. Then who will take care of the oceans and the rivers? Varuna Devata. Who will take care where the soul will go up, down, placement agency? Yamraj. So there is a universal government like this. Okay. Brahma is the engineer. Shiva is the destructor. Durga is provider and she is also destroys. Durga. Durga means what? Sindhu Durga. Is there any fort in Karnataka? Any name of fort in Karnataka? So it will be called Durga. Durga means fort. Okay. Technically it means jail. So this material world has so many living entities. And they are doing all kinds of things. So who is the jailer? Durga. One who is taking care of the Durga, the fort. And she has Trishul. Just like Shiva has Trishul, she also has Trishul. And with that Trishul, she is keeping all the living entities in this world. So there is a universal government that is happening. And this is what Arjuna is asking. Who are these devatas? What are they doing? They are handling certain departments. Okay, how many employees are there in Karnataka government? Or let's say central government? Thousands of them, right? Thousands of employees are there. So they are all required to run the machinery of the government, right? Similarly, this universe, how to run the machinery of the universe, we need devatas. And interestingly enough, devatas, some devatas will change for every manvantara. Some will remain for the all the 14 and then they will only change at the night. Next morning there will be new people on the devata list. So it is like that, Devatas are also not eternal. They are not shashvat. So they will also leave their bodies. But they live pretty long. Okay. Okay. Any question, comment here? Now, where is Krishna in this whole picture? He is Vishnu, Garbhodaksha Vishnu. So he is creating everything. He is assigning Brahma, you become direct engineer. He creates and Lord Vishnu maintains. We need a maintainer, right? And then we need a destructor. Lord Vishnu becomes Shiva and he destroys by doing his Tandav Nitya, Natraj. Okay. So like this, this whole machinery is there. The universal government is there. It's working like that. Okay. I may not have time to, continue. Any questions or comments? Any question or comment? Anything in your mind, whatever you want to ask, just ask. There's no problem.
Can we get those pictures,
Yeah, yeah.
Krishna?
Um, this link is there. I will share it. In that,
Okay.
these documents are there. 4 documents are there. And yeah, one more thing very interesting is there. You can see the video. YouTube video is there. You can see this video where the universe is explained. This whole universe is explained,
Okay.
how it is and all that. So this video link is also there inside this. I will share it, no problem. I'll share this document. Then there are four ones. Vedic Cosmos is what you need to look at. Okay.
Okay.
So very interesting information. I think
Yeah.
we can stop here if there are no questions or comments. Any questions? We have 1 minute left for two.
Yeah. Not from me.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, okay, sure. Okay, then we'll meet next week. We'll continue from 8.2. Hmm? Thank you very much.